We wanted to play and have a giant upside down flag behind us playing as like the sort of the classic international image of distress. Half of us were like, well, it's kind of trite and generic and it won't have any impact. You know what I mean? It's kind of what people want a punk rock band to do. It was one of my ideas to do it, and one of the guys at the band said it was trite, and I kind of even agreed with him at one point. I was like, yeah, maybe you're right, maybe no one's gonna care. And then it became a focal point of our tour.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It created this really visceral reaction in people. I brought it down to like Jacksonville, Florida, and people lost their shit because I did that.
Yeah.
When you play a show in Dallas, Texas with a 50-foot upside down American flag behind you, like, they don't see that as generic. We're embracing these things, whether they are artistically cool with you or not. They're working, they're creating friction, which is creating dialogue and conversation, and that's where change happens.
He said, son, have you seen the world? Well, what would you say if I said that you could just carry this gun? You'll even get paid. I said, that sounds pretty good.
I saw this story, maybe you saw it yesterday, about this kid, veteran, Iraq War veteran, who just got prosthetic, actual arms, an arm transplant, which is a very rarely done thing. Really moving story. And yet I think, and this relates to Hero of War as well, I think about just the, I do ask myself, for what? For what? And not to disparage his sacrifice or any of their sacrifices, clearly. But, I mean, there's a part of me that's just, wow, what a waste, and he hopefully will have a fruitful life ahead of him. But, I mean, that seems to be what the video is speaking to.
Yeah, the video was kind of inspired by, we actually have a lot of fans of the band who are soldiers, who are fans who became soldiers. And so having a lot of fans in the military, you hear a lot of stories, and the stories that I was hearing from our fans were different than the stories that I was seeing in the news. It's being talked about more, but at the time it wasn't being talked about. We weren't even allowed to show caskets, coming home. It was all this kind of gung-ho, trigger-happy, waving the flags kind of thing. And I was getting different stories from these letters. I was getting kids who were torn up inside about what was happening over there and talking about what they were doing over there. And it was like, there's a story here, and it's not being told, and we should tell it in a song, And that's where that song came from. I just wanted to walk through the life of a soldier and what happened to him and how he ends up shooting someone that was just trying to surrender, which is actually based off of a true story that I saw in a documentary called The Ground Truth. So it was a guy who really, he was a very gung-ho soldier and believed in the war until he shot a woman that he thought had a bomb, and instead she had a white flag, and it changed him forever. He was actually the subject of a Chicago Tribune article where his mom was an anti-war protester and he was a pro-war soldier. And so they're doing this series of how the family reconciles that, In the middle of all that, this happened to him, and he just changed his mind, and he changed teams really. He just kind of was like, this, what are we doing this for? And it's funny because when we wrote that song, it polarized a lot of people. You know what I mean? We jumped into the if you don't support the troops, you hate America world. We jumped into that world head first.
I kicked in the door, I yelled my commands. The children, they cried, but I got my man. We took him away, a bag over his face, from his family and his friends.
I was taken by people's reaction to it because the song kind of reserved judgment. It was really just telling the story. That was, for all intents and purposes, a true story. But it really reserved judgment, and people were taking it in all these different ways. And I even, I don't even condemn the soldier for doing what he did, because he really thought that she had a bomb. He really thought that he was protecting his friends from, getting hurt. And when he realized she didn't, he had to, reconcile with himself, like, well, I did what I was supposed to do. Like, if I could go back, I probably would have shot her again, because I didn't know what she was doing. but why am I here? Why is she here? Why are we all here? Why do I have to shoot her? Like, what is happening? And that was when we got people who supported it. We got hate mail. We got death threats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got, if I, play it near a military base around in the States, people will boo it. You know what I mean? I think only time has really let that song kind of really tell its story, and now people really, I get a lot more emails from troops saying that's the only song that tells people how I feel.
Hero is that what they see? Just medals and scars. So damn proud of me. And I brought home that flag. Now it gathers dust, but it's the flag that I love. It's the only flag I trust. He said, son, have you seen the world? Well, what would you say if I said that you